Opia. You make eye contact with someone. At first, it's normal. Then it lasts a second longer than expected, and suddenly it feels different, more direct, more loaded, harder to ignore. You become aware of your expression, whether you should look away, whether they're thinking the same thing. Neither of you moves immediately. It becomes this strange pause where both people are aware of being seen and seeing at the same time. Then one of you breaks it, looks away too quickly, or smiles slightly too late, and for a moment after, it still lingers, like the interaction didn't fully end when the eye contact did. That ambiguous intensity of direct eye contact, that's Opia. Anecdoche. You're in a conversation with multiple people. One person shares something, another responds, but instead of connecting to what was said, they shift into their own story. Then someone else does the same. It keeps happening. Each response is technically a reply, but the direction keeps changing. Everyone is speaking, but not necessarily landing on the same point. The conversation moves forward, but in parallel tracks instead of a shared one. And you realize everyone is waiting for their turn to speak more than they're waiting to fully hear what's being said. Anecdoche is a conversation where everyone's talking, but no one's really listening. Frisson. You're watching a scene and suddenly chills. Goosebumps for no obvious reason. Your chest tightens a little, your arms feel cold. Something just hits. Maybe it's a powerful line, maybe it's a quiet moment that lingers, maybe it's someone finally saying what they've been holding in. And for a few seconds, your whole body reacts. You're not exactly sad, not exactly happy, just overwhelmed in a very specific way. A sudden chill when a moment hits deeper than expected is frisson. Sometimes it happens during a speech, or a reveal in a story, or even just a perfectly timed pause. Everything lines up and your body responds before you even process why. It only lasts a moment, but when it happens, you feel it immediately. Anticipointment. You've been looking forward to something for a while, not just casually. You've built it up in your head, how it'll feel, how you'll react, how satisfying it's going to be when it finally happens. The day comes, the moment arrives, and it doesn't collapse or fail, it just lands lighter than expected. It passes quickly or feels less intense than the version you had imagined. And while it's happening, you catch yourself comparing it to the idea you had of it instead of the actual moment itself. What stays longer isn't the experience, it's the build-up that led to it. Anticipointment is when the build-up ends up bigger than the moment itself. Jouska. You're replaying a conversation in your head, not just once. It keeps evolving. You think of what you said, then immediately think of what you should have said instead. The conversation keeps building itself without the actual person there. Sometimes it's an argument, sometimes it's something you wish you had explained properly, sometimes it's just proving a point that never got fully expressed. Jouska refers to the conversations that only exist in your head, but feel completely real. It runs in loops until it feels finished, even though nothing outside your head has actually changed. Liberosis. Your mind feels full more often than it feels quiet. You notice how much time you spend thinking about what people meant, what you should do next, how things might turn out, whether something was handled the right way. Even small things start to carry extra weight when you think about them too long. And then there's this slow shift, not a decision, just a feeling, of wanting less of it, less analysis, less attachment to every outcome, less internal commentary on everything happening around you. Just things happening without needing to constantly hold them in your head. That desire to care less and finally feel lighter is Liberosis. Lachesism. You're sitting with too many things at once, too many thoughts, too many small pressures that never feel big enough to explain, but together feel heavy anyway. Work, plans, messages, expectations. Nothing is actually breaking, but nothing feels fully manageable either. Then a thought slips in. If something went wrong, everything would just stop for a while. Not something dramatic in detail, just something that forces a pause, a reason to step out of everything at once. No decisions, no juggling, no constant catching up, Just a clean interruption where life becomes simple for a moment, even if only because it has to. Lachesism is the quiet urge for something disruptive just to simplify everything. Anhedonia, you open something you usually enjoy, a game or a show, you go through the motions but nothing clicks. It's not bad, it's just not enjoyable either. You're not bored, you're just uninterested. Food tastes normal but not exciting. Hobbies feel like tasks. You keep switching between things, hoping something lands. Nothing really does. Everything feels emotionally flat, muted, like the volume knob got turned down. Anhedonia is when things that used to feel good suddenly feel flat. Compersion. Your friend gets the job you applied for, you smile, you say congrats, and you actually mean it. But there's also that small sting sitting underneath. You wanted it, you imagine yourself getting it, you even pictured telling people. Still, you're happy for them, not fake happy, not polite happy. You genuinely like seeing them win. You feeling happy for someone else, even when you wanted what they got, is compersion. It's a strange mix, disappointment and warmth at the same time, like your brain is holding two opposite emotions without cancelling either one. You might even feel proud of them. You remember how hard they worked. You think, yeah, they deserve that. Exulansis. You try to explain something that matters to you. You start with clarity, but as you go on, you notice the gap forming, the way the other person isn't quite arriving at the same understanding you're trying to give them. So you adjust, you simplify, you try another angle, you add context, you try to make it more relatable, more grounded. But the more you explain, the more it feels like the original feeling gets diluted in the process. Eventually, you stop trying to translate it at all. Not because it wasn't real, but because it feels like it only exists properly in your head, where it doesn't need translation. Exulansis is when explaining feels pointless, so you just stop trying. Altschmerz. You start worrying about something again, same topic, same thoughts, same mental path you've already walked before. You know already where it leads, but your mind goes through it anyway. You replay the possibilities, you question the same details, you reach the same conclusions. Halfway through, you notice it. You've had this exact internal conversation before, maybe yesterday, maybe last week, maybe many times. And now there's a second layer to it. Not just the worry, but the exhaustion of repeating it, being tired of circling the same thoughts, knowing they won't resolve anything new. Altschmerz is being tired of worrying about the same things all over again. It starts to feel like a problem and more like a loop you've been stepping into without meaning to.